Hi everyone, welcome back to Baking with Miss Manzo. Today we are making something called snow cone cupcakes. Now, I know for me, when I think of the summertime, I think of going to Ocean City, New Jersey, or being on the boardwalk down in Point Pleasant, and I would always want a snow cone. So for those of you who don't know what a snow cone is, I'm going to show you on the next screen an example of an actual snow cone and then an example of the cupcakes that we're going to do that were inspired by actual snow cones. So take a watch and then we'll come back and we'll get started. So, for those of you who don't know what a snow cone is, the top left is a snow cone, which is ice with different flavors. The bottom right has the example of what we're going to be making today, snow cone cupcakes. If you look, they resemble each other. One is a baked good and one is a frozen treat. I hope you enjoy. Welcome back. I hope that you all enjoyed that slide. This is my first time making snow cone cupcakes, but as always, before we get started, we're going to head over to the sink to wash our hands. So we're at our sink. We need to wash up our hands before we start our cupcakes. I like to do this with you because I think it's important for everyone to wash their hands. And if we've learned anything from COVID, we want to make sure that we are always washing our hands, especially when we're handling food. Okay, we are all washed up and we are officially ready to bake. Slide. This is my first time making snow cone cupcakes, but I hope that you are excited as I am. We have all of our ingredients ready. We have our mixing bowl that we're going to do our yellow cake mix. So as I said on your recipe ingredients needs, you need a box of yellow cake. It doesn't matter what brand or anything, but on the back it also tells you what ingredients you need in order to mix with the mix here. It also tells us that we need to set our oven to 350 degrees. So because we're using an oven, we know adult is present, oven mitts. We have to be careful and safe at all times, but we're going to preheat the oven actually right now while we prep. So I'm going to go do that and then we're going to continue to go over our food ingredients and our cooking supplies. Okay, so we have our yellow cake mix, and on the back of it, it tells us we need a cup of water, a half a cup of oil, and 3 eggs. So I've already measured out my cup of water. We're going to use that same measuring cup after we add the water for our oil, for the half a cup of oil. Okay, in this bowl, I have my 3 eggs that we're going to crack individually in our separate ramekin, and then we'll add them into the mixture one by one so that if there are any shells that get in here, we can easily scoop it out with the other shell. So that's going to be the first step is cooking or mixing the traditional yellow cake mix, and we're going to be using our standalone mixer for that. Afterwards, while that's mixing, while that's done, we're going to then line our cupcake pan with our cupcake liners. We did this when we made our watermelon cupcakes. So the process is very similar, the whole making the cake step, but the decorating is when it changes. So once we prepare our pan and it's baking in the oven, that's when we're going to do our icing. Now I did store-bought icing this time that I'm going to put into our Ziploc bag to do like a pastry bag to ice the cupcakes. So we'll do that while they're waiting. Then we have some different sugar sprinkle colors. So I have, they're like pastels. You can do any colors you want, but you want that fine granulated type sugar, the different colors. So we'll get into the decorating after. But first, what we need to do is we are going to put our ingredients in our mixing bowl for our cake mix so that we can get started on that. So we have already, the oven is working on preheating at the moment. Okay, this in here. Again, you want to keep a clean countertop as best as possible. I'm going to do my water, cup of water. You want to do a half a cup of oil. You get eye level. Perfect. All right, so our wet ingredients are done. Now we have to do our eggs. And once we add the eggs in there, we're going to take it over to the standalone mixer where we're going to be able to mix it up and then line our pan. So as I said before, we're going to do one at a time just in case any eggshells get in here. Beautiful. You know, all this baking this summer that I'm doing, I'm getting a lot better not getting those shells in here. So thanks to you guys. Look at that. 2 down. All right. So we're ready to move this over to the standalone mixer. We're going to mix it up so we can put it right into our cake pan. So we have our batter that's not really mixed up yet, but we've added the water, the eggs, and the oil in with our yellow cake mix. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put it under the electric mixer, and we're going to let this mixer do the work to make sure it's all combined so we're ready to fill our cupcake pan. I'll lock it in place, and I'm going to start slow so that the powder doesn't go everywhere. And as it starts to mix, I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. Looking good. See the batter is dripping off the whisk. I'm going to go bring this over to the sink. And then we're going to transport our bowl over to our workstation and we're going to line that cupcake pan. Okay, our mixture is ready. We want to first put our cupcake liners in the pan and then we will evenly distribute our batter into the different circles. Now, as we've done the last time, this has 12 total circles for our cupcakes. The batter can go anywhere from 12 to 24 depending on how high you fill your cupcake liners. So we're going to do the best we can with adding ours here. And then if we have extra, you guys can continue in if you have another cupcake pan, or if you want to wait until it cools and then repeat the process after, it's entirely up to you. So our batter is all mixed up nicely from our electric mixer. So now I'm just going to line my pan with the cupcake liners. Now these are the same liners that I had purchased when we made our cupcakes, the watermelon cupcakes. So you're using some of the same materials for the different recipes. So that's a really good thing. So we're going to do this, and then we are going to fill them with our batter. Okay, so now our cupcake liners, we're just going to close it, put it off to the side. And now what we can do is we're going to take this batter and we're going to distribute it into our cupcake liners. Now, when you add batter, cake batter, it does rise as it cooks. Okay, so you don't have to fill these all the way up because you don't want them to completely overflow. But you want to fill them up to a good amount because you want to have that round look on top of the liner so that when we're ready to decorate with our sprinkles, you're able to see that. So I'm going to fill them a little bit higher than normal so that way it does create that round cake on top of the liner. So again, this to me is my least favorite thing about making the cupcakes because you have to just take your time so that the batter doesn't drip all over. And then once all of your cupcake liners are filled, then we'll be able to put it in the oven. Now, as always, we look at the back of the box since we're using a boxed recipe here for what to do and timing wise on the oven. Okay, so now this one, it calls for 19 to 23 minutes. So I like to find a number kind of in between those. whatever you want to do, but you want to keep an eye on them because you don't want them to burn, that's for sure. So you're going to just take your time. I would probably put in for like 21 minutes. And then if it needs more time, you can add it. Remember, a way to check to see if it has more enough time on it is you insert a clean toothpick into it to see if the toothpick comes out clean without any batter on it. And if it does, great, they're done. If there's still liquidy batter, not fully cooked, you know that it needs to continue cooking for a little bit longer. So I'm going to continue to fill all of my cupcake liners with the batter. And then once that's done, I'm going to head over to the oven and it's going to cook. So you can continue, if you're doing this with me, you can continue filling yours as well. So we're just about ready to fill our last cupcake liner. I filled these up pretty high because I want to really see that top coming over the cupcake liner. That way when we decorate, we have an easier kind of area to work with. So once this is filled, we're going to bake it in the already preheated oven. We set it and we preheated it to 350 degrees. Once it's done, so we'll put it in for about 21 minutes since we said that the box told us to bake it for about 19 to 23 minutes. We'll start with 21 just so that we don't go over. And then if we need more time, we add more time. But I'd rather have to add more time than for them to burn. So we are ready to put these in the oven. Let's go do that now. So our oven is preheated. I'm putting my oven mitts on to practice our oven safety. And I'm going to put the cupcakes in the oven now. And I'm going to set the timer, like I said, for 21 minutes. So the timer's on. We're going to let them bake. And while they're baking, we're going to prep our icing bag. Our cupcakes are in the oven. We're going to prepare our pastry bag. Do-it-yourself one with a large Ziploc bag and a cup. I just bought regular vanilla icing. Again, you want to do something light since you want to really see the colors on this. If it were regular cupcakes, you could do whatever icing you want. I mean, to be honest, you probably could use even chocolate icing with today's recipe if you wanted to. But I just think the colors will show a lot brighter on the white icing. So I'm going to open this. And what I'm going to do, like we did before, we saw a video on it, and then we did it ourselves for the watermelon cupcakes. So you're going to kind of put it in on a diagonal. So where the point of the bag kind of goes in. And then you're kind of going to just like smush it down. And then you're just going to undo the top around the cup like that. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the inside of our icing and we're going to use our spatula to put it in the Ziploc bag so that when the cupcakes come out and are ready, we have our bag of icing ready to go to start piping. So I don't know if I told you, but piping is the term when you are putting the icing on a baked good. So in this case, we are doing cupcakes. So I'm going to take my spatula and you kind of just let it fall in there. Just kind of push it down because when we lift this bag out, all that icing is going to pretty much go to the bottom of that Ziploc bag. And then we can cut the top to begin piping. So I'm pretty done, everything from the inside. That's why I like to use a spatula because it gets everything from the inside out. So this is done. We have our little garbage. Okay. And then what we're going to do, we're going to just pick this up. And if you notice, all of the icing is in one area here. There's a lot of space between the tip of the bag to the icing. So we're just going to snip a little bit off the bottom. We don't want too big of an opening because then the icing will really come out fast. So we're going to actually wait to do that until our cupcakes are out and cooled and ready to be iced. But what we do when it's time, you're going to take the top because there's excess plastic at the top, and you're going to twist it. And I'll show you as we go through it, but that's so that you have a good, all your icing is pretty much in your hands and you're able to do your piping. Okay, so we're gonna let this sit. Everything is ready to go. We are waiting for our cupcakes to come out and to cool. So once the timer goes off, we will see if there's any batter left on the cupcakes. So again, you want to be very careful. Oven mitt. It comes out clean. Timer's off. Oven is off. Now I'm going to put both oven mitts on to pull the cupcakes out. How pretty. So we have to make sure that they cool. We're going to let them cool for about 5 minutes in the tray, and then when we'll pull them out and put them on a cooling tray. So our cupcakes are out of the oven. They are cool, and they are ready to be iced. So as we started before, we have our bag of our icing that we just need to trim the tip of the bag off so that it makes piping easy. Okay, but before we do that, I want to explain the next step. Okay. We want to talk about how we're going to separate the top of the cupcake for the 3 different sprinkle colors. So what we're going to do, and I'll show you the process as I do it, is we're going to ice first. We're going to do one at a time. We'll ice and then sprinkle, then ice and sprinkle, all until all of our cupcakes are done, because what happens is you want to put the sprinkles on when the icing is still soft. As the icing sits out on top of the cupcake, it hardens a little bit. And what will happen is if it hardens before we put the sprinkles won't stick. So that's why we're going to kind of alternate. We're going to ice, we'll do our sprinkles, then we'll let it sit. Then we'll ice, and then we'll do our sprinkles. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do right now is we're going to trim the tip of this bag. Not a lefty, so I'm going to switch it. Okay. So it's open. So now you have a couple options. Like you see sometimes on the cooking shows on TV, you'll see that they pipe it all the way around and they make it a thicker amount of icing. What I like to do is I kind of like to just do a glob in the middle. And then what I do is I take my butter knife and I just smear this on top of the cupcake. So it's up to you what you want to do. You also don't even necessarily need to put it in the bag if you don't want. I just do it just so that it's a little bit easier. Sometimes if I do get a little lazy, I just want to pipe it with the bag. I don't want to use my knife like this. That's fine too. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of divide our cupcake into 3 equal parts. Now you're going to do the best you can because it's a circle and, you know, it's a little difficult to make all 3 pieces the same, but we're going to just do the best we can. What I did is I have a toothpick that I'm just going to kind of trace lines. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. But what you can do, and if you mess up, the good thing is you can just kind of smudge it around with the toothpick. That's fine. Okay, so now what I have here, and the lines are really just for you. You don't necessarily need the lines. If you want to just kind of go for it with the sprinkles, that's fine too. So I kind of have that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my sprinkles. And I think for this one, I'm going to use purple, pink, and yellow. So I'll do the yellow in the middle. So I'll start with the purple. And instead of just, you can sprinkle it on just like this if you want. I've never done this, so it comes out quick, you know. And if you notice, I have this little paper plate underneath to help me in case any of the sprinkles fall. They're nice and in a easy to dispose area. I'm gonna see if I can put a little sprinkle. That's, I think, gonna be the better bet. I put some sprinkles on top of my spoon, and I'm just gonna move it around. So check it out. Okay, you have some sprinkles there. And again, it's your cupcake. If you want a lot of sprinkles, go for it. If you want not a lot, that's okay too. So again, this is not going to be absolutely perfect, but you're going to just get an idea of it. And I drew my lines because it's kind of like coloring. I need a little bit of assistance. Oh, this is cute. Let's use a snow cone. You may want to use green, you may want to use blue, you can use red. I only had pastels. I wasn't going to go out and buy more sprinkles, so if you have sugar sprinkles in the house, that's fine. You could do all one color if you don't want to do three ones. This is just, I like it because it's kind of like an art project. Take some time, you get to be a little creative. So there is a tri-colored snow cone. You can do that. You can do all one color. So again, I'm going to take my icing. I put a glob in the middle. I'm not a huge icing fan myself, so I don't tend to put a lot of icing on my cupcakes. So again, that's preference. Whatever you want to do is totally fine. So now if you saw in the video, well, not in the video, you saw on the slide, you saw an example where it's got 3 different flavors. I'm going to show you a video after that's going to kind of give you an idea of it with just using one color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do green. So the reason it looks like snow cones is because snow cones is on shaved ice. So it absorbs that color. Okay, so now if you really want to take it a step further to make it really look like a snow cone, sometimes people eat snow cones with a spoon. So if you get a plastic spoon, I don't have one, but you can kind of just stick it into your cup like this. So it looks like a little decoration. You can also do a straw. Sometimes people will stick a straw in it because if you keep using the straw, it melts. It's almost like drinking, you know, like water because the ice will melt. So these are your options for the snow cone cupcakes. You can be as creative as you want. You can mix colors. You could do one solid color, whatever you want to do. It's entirely up to you. But the whole idea is that it looks like the shaved ice because we're using the sugar sprinkles. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Bye. We had an opportunity to make snow cone cupcakes that were inspired by snow cones that people can find at fairs or on the boardwalk in the summertime. This is a video that explains how to shave ice and then pour the flavor of an actual snow cone. Check it out.
In order to create the fluffiest, flakiest Snow Biz treat, the ice must be tempered prior to shaving. All that means is that the block of ice should be taken out of the freezer to sit at room temperature for about 20 to 30 minutes before it is used. When the ice is fully tempered and is ready to shave, it will have a glossy, glassy, wet look. The ice has been tempered to make the Snow Biz treats look and taste the best. To make those treats, you will be using a block ice shaver. Before putting ice in the machine, check to make sure the power switch is turned off and that the cutting blade is down below the shaving plate. Slide open the safety shield and center the ice block on the shaving plate. Secure it in place with the ice block holder. You do not want to use your hands to lower the ice block holder, as grease will get onto your hands. Close the safety shield so that it is between you and the block of ice. Turn the power switch on and start the machine by pressing the foot pedal. Finally, raise the blade slowly until the ice comes off as flaky, fluffy snow. Your objective is to deliver long, fluffy sheets of snow. These flakes will help retain the flavor. They are also softer and they feel better in the mouth. This is grainy, coarse snow from non-tempered ice. It neither looks, feels, nor tastes as good as the long, fluffy sheets. If the machine makes a loud, roaring noise as it shaves, it is not producing the correct flakes. This can also dull your blade faster. Contrast that roaring sound with this more desirable purring sound, and you can hear the difference. A humming sound means the ice is being shaved correctly. To fill the cup, wear plastic gloves. Hold the cup with 2 hands and rotate it to spread the ice throughout the cup. As the cup fills, build a mound with your gloved hand and gently form the snow into an attractive, symmetrical configuration. Do not pack the top. Form it gently. Only practice will make perfect in the art of forming the perfect SnoBiz shave ice. This product is packed so tightly, it will detract from its taste. This one is so loose, it has collapsed. But this SnoBiz treat is perfect. It not only looks great, but it will taste even better. There is a skill to pouring the flavors for a SnoBiz treat correctly. Take hold of the bottle by the neck and turn it upside down so that it pours at full speed. When the flavor stream hits the bottom of the cup, you will feel a gentle tap. Turn the cup and continue to pour until the remainder of the shaved ice has been covered. Let's look at some examples. This SnoBiz treat does not have enough flavor. By the time the customer gets to the bottom, all that remains is ice, and it will have no taste at all. This one has too much flavor, and at the bottom this will resemble flavored water. This one is just right. By the time the customer reaches the bottom, the flavor will have penetrated through the entire cup, making the entire SnoBiz treat an exciting taste. From the very first taste, your customer will know SnoBiz treats are different from anything else they've tried. With the ribbon-like shaved snow and true-to-life flavors, you're creating an unforgettable experience, which will keep your customers coming back for more.
Boardwalk by Kelly Ramsdale Feynman and pictures by Monica Arminio. At the boardwalk by the sea, days are spent with family. Life relaxes, time is free. At the boardwalk by the sea. At the boardwalk in the fog, grab the stroller, bring the dog. Families take a morning jog. At the boardwalk in the fog. At the boardwalk, bubbles fly, bumping into passers-by. Salt air breezes, kites up high. At the boardwalk, bubbles fly. At the boardwalk, in the sun, take a break from beach time fun. Ice cream cones for everyone. At the boardwalk in the sun. At the boardwalk, jumbled joys, hermit crabs and pirate toys. Arcade games make lots of noise. At the boardwalk, jumbled joys. At the boardwalk, when it rains, grumpy gulls are weather vanes. Everyone around complains at the boardwalk when it rains. At the boardwalk, day or night, treats for every appetite. Popcorn, taffy, fudge, delight. At the boardwalk, day or night. At the boardwalk near the sand, sunset paints the sky and land. Shadows lengthen, stars expand. At the boardwalk near the sand. At the boardwalk, one last ride. Oompa music,
sit astride, carouseling side by side. At the boardwalk, one last ride. At the boardwalk on the pier, music plays for all to hear. People hold their loved ones near. At the boardwalk on the pier. At the boardwalk, day is done. Sleepy after evening fun. Strolling home, no need to run. At the boardwalk, day is done. The
Okay, boys and
end.
girls, what we're going to do here is this is going to be the final thing that we'll do at the end of every recipe that we create. This is something that kind of rates our recipe. It'll tell you what you thought of what it looks like, how it tastes, what it smells like, texture. You get to be the food critic. Now, what a food critic does is a food critic rates all those different areas of a recipe. You guys are going to be able to be the food critic based on my recipe. Now, if you don't make it on your own, you can imagine what you think it might taste like and smell like and the texture of it. We can just focus on Great job today. I hope you enjoyed. See you on the next video.